What would you do if you knew your time on Earth was limited? Would you welcome your end peacefully? Or would you fruitlessly deny your end? Or would you follow this man's example and choose violence? Meet William Overbeck, a combat veteran. He is bitten and there's no cure.
I'm getting too old for
He
this.
plans to spend the rest of his days just eliminating as many undead as possible. We always start with the essentials. Fire. This time from a microwave. And I only need a paperclip to start everything. While the fire rises, I make sure to look for anything useful like food, water containers, bags, and weapons. After checking every
Alright, let's
container
go.
for anything, it was time to move out into the world and spread the carnage. The streets were just filled to the brim with the undead. Navigation was extremely dangerous, yet I still needed to search for more firepower. Just one mistake could mean my untimely end. An army supply store was nearby, but just getting to the other side of the street was a challenge. It was a long while of just horde managing to enter the supply store. After entering, I only had a few moments to look through the containers, but there it was. I found the firepower that I needed. 4 warheads and a launcher.
This'll do some damage.
I wasn't going to use them right away. There was a time and place for it. My next step was to find a proper vehicle. Not for a means of escape, but a tool for zombie destruction. It was then I found a tank that was casually parked. I took a risk to inspect it. Unfortunately, it was locked, and there was no key to be found. My disappointment was palpable. Sayang naman, walang susi. There was no point of staying there. I moved on, while also making sure to drag the burning zombies along with me. I made my way up to the car pileup near the North Bridge of Louisville. It was populated with many vehicles and many more zombies. Almost an endless sea of them. I looked up and down the car pileup, and I found 2 tanks. Ugh. Wala na naman. Once again, luck wasn't on my side. None of them had a key. Tatlong tangke, walang susi. It was difficult to push through, and making things even worse is my growing sickness. I was nauseous,
I don't feel so
and it was
good.
only the start. I was starting to get fatigued as well, and that means I was going to recover less and less stamina as my fatigue grows. It was going to be impossible to recover stamina once I get to be ridiculously tired. I still had to move with patience, as pushing too hard would ultimately result in me making mistakes, and those mistakes would lead to death. After I struggled to navigate around zombies, I stumbled across an incredible tool, a cop car. I didn't need the vehicle itself. There was no need to drive anywhere. What I needed was its siren. I wanted to attack the zombies to one singular point, and it was the perfect tool for it. After a few precious hours of just horde managing, I was able to find an opening to break its window, and then turn on its siren.
Here they come.
True to its name, the siren attracted the undead to one singular point, while the fire ravaged them one by one. I didn't need to use my RPG for the kills, but I wanted to test it out. Oh my god, tanginang ganda naman. I let it run for a few hours, and fired my RPG when it felt like there was a big enough horde. Eventually it was morning.
Nice.
I have lost much of my stamina and was also ridiculously tired. I wasn't recovering any stamina at all. It was then I decided to move on. There was a dire need for something to wake me up. After traveling for a few blocks, I came across a local cafe. The cafe was my only hope to have something to overcome my fatigue. There were zombies, of course, but I only had little energy left to fight. I couldn't let them get into the building, lest I let the contents of it be burned to the ground. My only choice was to fight. Luckily, the sound of the siren attracted much of the horde already, leaving only a very small population. Even then, I had to be careful. I was completely spent. My damage was 90% less of what it could be. Ah, what? Scratched. It didn't matter anyway. I just needed to stop the bleeding. I was fully exhausted. If I didn't find anything here, I would have died to the next zombie I see. Mamatay ka na nga. Sa wakas, it was time to look inside and see if it was there. And there it was. 3 whole canisters of coffee. The first one I needed to consume raw immediately. My fatigue was instantly gone, but my stamina wasn't back. I needed to sit down and rest, but it was dangerous. This is optimal. After I have recovered, I thought I had lost the fire and needed to start all over again. I tried to bait in another zombie over an existing fire, but I didn't need to. I found a full bottle of bourbon, and that means
Molotov. Fire in the hole!
while continuously committing arson. My quest for a proper vehicle continues. I looked at parking lot after parking lot, searching for that ideal vehicle. I think I must have been born under an unlucky star. The only thing I found was disappointment in a trail of burnt bodies. I continued my way east, through the zombie-filled streets of Louisville. As I went on, my sickness worsened. My body heat went up as a response to the disease. It was futile, and I was slowly running out of time. As my condition worsens, the slower I become. So I had to keep moving. Eventually, I made it to the Grand Ohio Mall. It had the biggest parking lot in the whole map of Project Zomboid, so it had the best chance to have a tank. But my awful luck struck again. I scoured that left and right, up and down. No matter where I looked, it wasn't there. It was a fruitless endeavor in the end. I had no choice but to retreat. Heartbroken. Paano naman yun walang tangke? Ang malas ko naman. I was running out of time. I made my way south, thinking that is where I would die. But in the corner of my eye, I saw it. Tangke ba yan? It was a tank. Tangke nga.
Tank!
Not only that, I also spotted a helicopter. There was only little life left in me. It was a choice between a tank and a helicopter. I had no time to check both. There was even still the possibility that none of them could be commandeered. In the end, I fired my final warhead and went to the tank. To my surprise, the door was unlocked. I was able to get inside, and there it was. The key was left in the glove box. Oh, yes! There was only one destination, the Grand Ohio Mall. Probably the most populated building in the game. This is where I make my final stand. I'm going to use the last of my life to kill as much as possible. I plowed straight through the mall, cannon and machine gun destroying everything in front of me. The tank made it all the way to the other side. Alright! That just shortened my life. It was time to make a return trip. Oh, Jesus, this looks like the most unstable tank I've ever seen. The waves of the undead were endless, but I knew my life was slowly ticking away. I was feeling it. I checked my status for the last time. I only had a few moments left. I smoked my last smoke, ate my last meal, and drank my last cola. It was almost over, and I barely even reached 40,000 kills. I made one final push into the heart of the building. And that's when it finally happened. Ah! Oh! 3 days, 15 hours. 43,954 zombies. That's about 500 zombies per hour. And I don't think that's a good rate of zombie kills. This was a nice short challenge. I'm sure there's plenty other people that can do way better than me. My only regret is that I couldn't reach 50,000 kills. Not finding the tank sooner screwed me over. If you want to see a video where I do the exact opposite and not kill a single zombie, you can watch it right here. Well, if you want to help me reach 50,000 in subscribers, why not hit the button and like the video too? That would help this video out reach so much more people.